Ladies and gentlemen, you are welcome. Colleagues who are assisting with the virtual platform, are there any people that are still waiting in the waiting room that we need to accept? Or are we ready to start?
Yes, DM. So far, everybody has joined. There is no one at the waiting room. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. You are all welcome to this media briefing of the governance cluster. Welcome. We did say that we'll start at 11 o'clock, so we're just waiting for a few people to join in so that we don't leave anyone behind. Members of the media, the members and of various stakeholder community of Parliament, you are welcome to this media briefing. Today, you've been invited to receive briefing from the governance cluster on the work that those committees falling under this cluster are doing, relating to oversight, relating to lawmaking, relating to public participation, which are the essential constitutional functions of those committees. So we do have today 3 chairpersons of the committees falling under the cluster. They are the Honorable Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, Dr. Zweli Mkhize. The second one is the Honorable Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Public Service and Administration, Honorable Jan de Villiers, sorry. And then we have got, lastly, the Honorable Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on the Presidency, Honorable Doris Mbabane. Because of the interconnectedness of the work that these committees are doing insofar as accounting and audit matters is concerned, we have also invited, although he does not belong to this cluster, but we have also invited the Honorable Chairperson of the Standing Committee on Public Accounts, Honorable Songezo Zibi. He will not be making a statement, but he will be here to deal with the questions, should there be any question that relate to the work that these committees are doing, but it is connected to the work that SCOPA is also doing. As you would know, for instance, a couple of weeks ago, there was a joint meeting between the SCOPA as a committee, as well as the Portfolio Committee on Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs. So should there be such matters that relate to that meeting or any other matter relating to the work that this committee is doing as it connects to these other committees that are here today, he is here to deal with those matters. So without any waste of time, I'm going to invite the first presentation from Dr. Zweli Mkhize, the Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs. Will be followed by the other 2 chairpersons, and then after that we will then deal with the questions from members of the media and engage with members of the stakeholder community. Dr. Mkhize, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Muloto Mutapo. Good morning to the Honorable, the chairpersons of the different portfolio committees, the members of the media, stakeholders and colleagues. Let me begin with a matter that has attracted significant public and media interest this week. the decision announced by National Treasury to temporarily withhold the July 2026 equitable share transfers to 69 municipalities. The committee welcomes and appreciates the intent behind this decision. Equitable share transfers to municipalities are important because they support and enable municipalities to deliver services to communities. This is why the committee urges the affected municipalities to work expeditiously to comply with the Treasury's conditions so that the funds can be released and communities are not subjected to further hardships because of the governance and financial management failures. National Treasury has indicated that transfers will resume once municipalities meet the required conditions and submit proper proof of compliance. These conditions relate to legal compliance, credible action plans to address unauthorized, irregular, fruitless, and wasteful expenditure, and the imposition of consequences for financial and governance irregularities, amongst other things. It is important for us to understand that this decision cannot be seen in isolation, but forms part of a much broader accountability picture that Parliament, the Auditor General, Treasury, COGTA, provincial governments, and other institutions have been raising for some time. Many of the municipalities affected by Treasury's decisions are municipalities that have already come before the oversight committees of COGTA, the Standing Committees on Public Accounts, and the Standing Committee on the Auditor General during our joint oversight engagement. The challenges now reflected in Treasury's interventions are the same problems that have been repeatedly identified in audit committee outcomes and oversight engagements. Excuse me. They include unfunded budgets, weak controls, procurement irregularities, weak revenue collection, high water and electricity losses, irregular expenditure, and few to no sanctions for proven wrongdoing. The 2024-25 municipal audit outcomes confirm that there has been some progress, but they also show the volume of challenges still before us if we are to turn around government. The committee is encouraged by the reduction in the number of disclaimed opinions, audit opinions. The number of disclaimers was reduced to 8 in 2024-2025, down from 29 in 2020 and 2021. This shows progress because we all know that a disclaimer is the worst audit outcome, as it means the Auditor General could not obtain enough reliable evidence to confirm how public funds were used. The committee also welcomes the 98% on-time submission rate for annual financial statements. Submitting financial statements on time is not just a basic administrative responsibility, but a critical step in accountability. We must emphasize that non-submission of annual financial statements cannot be tolerated. The latest audit outcomes also show that 72 municipalities showed improvement since 2020-21 financial year. This tells us that where support, leadership, oversight, and proper controls are in place, municipalities can move away from the worst audit outcomes. This is encouraging, but we must also be honest about the serious challenges that remain. For example, 145 municipalities, which is 57% of the country's municipalities, remained on the same audit outcome as in 2020-2021 financial year. And only 39 municipalities achieved clean audits. This shows that clean administration and good governance remain an exception rather than the norm. The committee is particularly concerned about the regression of 38 municipalities since 2020-21, including municipalities that account for a significant share of the local government budget. None of the 8 metros achieved a clean audit in 2024-2025. and the number of metros with qualified opinions increased from 2 to 5. The seriousness of this cannot be overstated, as metros manage large multi-billion rand budgets and serve millions of people. Where there are financial and governance failures in metros, communities feel the impact through unreliable water and electricity supply, sewage spillages, potholes, poor refuse collection, deteriorating roads, delayed infrastructure projects. The audit outcomes also show that poor audit performance is not just confined to financial reporting issues. According to the AG, 215 municipalities had material findings on compliance with key legislation. This non-compliance also directly impacts governance and service delivery. If a municipality cannot manage procurement in accordance with legal prescriptions, manage expenditure, investigate irregularities, and hold people accountable, service delivery and ultimately communities will suffer. This is why we have intensified our joint oversight work. The committee has taken the Auditor General's call for an all-role player in the accountability ecosystem to work together seriously. Our approach brings together Parliament, provincial legislatures, scoper structures, the Standing Committee on the Auditor General, National and Provincial COCTA, National and Provincial Treasury, Premier's offices, the Office of the Auditor General, and SALGA, and where necessary, investigative bodies such as the SIU. And the reason is simple. When municipalities fail, it is rarely caused by a single institution. A municipality may fail to implement financial controls, but it is the provincial government that has the constitutional duty to support municipalities. Institutions such as Treasury, whether it's national or provincial, have a financial oversight role, and the municipal councils, the mayors, the municipal managers, the municipal public accounts committees, the audit committees, disciplinary boards, all have defined responsibilities. So bringing these role players into one room, Parliament's joint oversight committees are then able to test the facts, cross-check explanations, and ensure that no sphere of government shifts responsibility to another. This joint oversight model has already been applied in various provinces, including the Free State, the Northwest, Gauteng, Eastern Cape, and KwaZulu-Natal. It has proven valuable and efficient, especially when the joint committees direct the provincial executive and municipal council leadership to focus their responses on specific local government financial and performance management transgressions identified in the Auditor General's report. The focus has been on the main drivers of poor audit outcomes, which include political instability, political interference and micromanagement in the administration, weak procurement, inadequate technical skills, high vacancy rates, poor revenue collection, and water and electricity losses, and passing unfunded budgets, amongst other things. The collaborative joint oversight approach is purposefully designed to improve the coordination across all three spheres of governance in a manner that emphasizes accountability across all spheres. We support the renewed focus on the elimination of unfunded budgets, ensuring annual financial statements are submitted on time, eliminating disclaimers, eliminating adverse audit outcomes, and building institutional capacity and control systems to reduce reliance on consultants. The unambiguous and firm message is that these negative audit outcomes will not be tolerated. Political leadership at all levels must take responsibility and acknowledge that audit outcomes are a reflection of the political leadership of that particular municipality, and not just about the incompetence of the finance office or the incompetence of the chief financial officer or administrative or technical municipalities alone. The decision by National Treasury is therefore not separate from Parliament's oversight work, but is part of the same accountability chain. The committee will continue to monitor whether the affected municipalities comply to ensure our communities are protected and receiving the services that they are entitled to. Before I conclude, let me then also provide an update on other aspects of the committee work, which is the preparatory work on the Traditional and Khoisan Leadership Bill of 2026. This bill is before the committee following Constitutional Court judgment that declared the previous Traditional and Khoisan Leadership Act unconstitutional because of defects in public participation process. It is important to keep in mind that the court did not set aside the substance of the act, but it made clear that Parliament must get the processes right. Parliament now has until 29th of May 2027 to finalize the new bill in a constitutionally compliant manner. For the committee, the key focus is on ensuring the meaningful public participation. We cannot allow this to be a tick box exercise. The communities must be most affected, particularly the Khoi and the San communities, must be properly identified, reached, and be heard. The committee has therefore asked the Parliament's Public Participation Unit to revise its public hearing plan to show clearly which communities will be targeted, which districts will be covered, and which languages will be used for public education and hearings. Language is especially important, including appropriate support in Afrikaans and other relevant languages where necessary. Most of the communities on the Khoi and the San communities use the Afrikaans as a medium of communication and have to be taken into account. The bill largely retains the framework of the previous act, but also includes important additions such as the recognition of the Khoi and the San kingships and queenships, the Khoi and the San leadership councils, stronger public accountability mechanism, strengthened community participation, 50% representation of women in leadership structures, and measures to address succession disputes. We're aware that communities may also raise broader issues such as land dispossession, language, mineral rights, and redress. The committee will have to distinguish between the matters that can be addressed in this bill and those that require a broader, multi-departmental, multi-sectoral approach. For now, I encourage members of the public to have their say on the bill. We have called for written comments to reach us by no later than Friday, the 14th of August 2026 at 1600 hours. In your submissions, kindly provide the name, the surname, the telephone number, and email address of the person or organization submitting these comments. The submission can be emailed to an email address that is tklb@parliament.gov.za, at tklb@parliament.gov.za. Members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for the opportunity to just share that latest update on the work of the committee and our views on the issues that have been raised by Treasury regarding the release of the equitable share to the municipalities, and our views in relation to the work we've done with these municipalities on oversight. We will welcome questions. I'd like to say thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Mutapo, and all the members. I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mkhize, for that comprehensive presentation touching on a wide range of issues that the committee is seized with, and for doing so in a manner that gives so much information within a short space of time. Thank you very much. I would now like to invite the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Public Service and Administration, the Honorable Jan de Villiers. Honorable de Villiers, just unmute.
Good morning. Thank you very much. Good morning to the colleagues, to the members of the media, parliamentary staff and stakeholders. Since the start of this year, the Portfolio Committee on Public Service and Administration has been focusing its oversight work on one important question. Is the public service becoming more professional, more ethical, and more capable of delivering services to the people of South Africa? For South Africans, depending on service delivery, this is not a trivial question or an abstract preoccupation with governance. It affects us all. For those depending on public health sector, it matters whether public hospitals are properly managed or staffed with personnel with the necessary expertise, as this can be a literal life or death issue. It matters whether schools have teachers and not ghost workers drawing salaries, whether public money is protected and South Africans get value for every rand spent, and whether communities receive the services they are entitled to. The committee's oversight work this year has therefore focused on three critical issues in the public service: who gets appointed, how ethical conduct is monitored and tested, and whether proven misconduct is dealt with decisively. In this respect, we assessed merit-based appointments and whether senior management officials, for example, possess the required qualifications. We also assessed progress in implementing lifestyle audits, also in provincial departments, and efforts to address paid suspensions arising from unresolved disciplinary cases. In relation to professionalizing the public service and merit-based appointments, the committee welcomes and supports the national framework towards the professionalization of the public sector, which Cabinet approved in 2022. This framework is intended to move away from appointments based on political loyalty, personal proximity or patronage, and towards appointing people based on qualifications, experience, competence, and integrity. Last month, we received briefings from the Department of Public Service and Administration, or the DPSA, and the Department of Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation, the DPME. The DPSA presentation focused on the implementation of merit-based appointments for accounting officers. The department presented an assessment of compliance with the prescribed qualification and experience requirements for accounting officers across the public service. This exercise showed that while there is compliance with the national framework regarding merit-based appointments, there are also instances in which a small number of departments, particularly at provincial level, disregard critical requirements, such as the minimum 10 years experience required for accounting officer positions. Cases have also been identified in which individuals were appointed without the required qualifications, such as an NQF Level 8 qualification. The committee also noted that there appears to be limited consequences for those who continue to disregard the policy framework. As a committee, we insist that qualification requirements for accounting officers and senior management are not merely decorative or optional. Given the nature of these positions and the high-level decision-making involved, these officials must have the required qualifications, including NQF Level 8, and at least 10 years senior management experience. When departments appoint people who do not meet the prescribed requirements, we risk undermining all our efforts to professionalize and to reform the public service. The committee has also called for stronger pre-appointment verifications. Qualifications, experience, and suitability must be verified before any appointments are made, and documented proof of compliance must form part of the appointment process. Where appointments are made in breach of the requirements, there must be consequences for all involved, from human resource units to executive authorities who approve the irregular appointments. The committee has also been vocal in its concern about prolonged acting appointments. We accept that acting appointments may be necessary for short periods, but when departments remain under acting director generals or heads of departments or chief executive officers for months or even years, it weakens accountability and it delays decision making, which can ultimately impact service delivery. And as a committee, we believe and have called on departments and public entities to improve succession planning and ensure recruitment begins well before contracts expire. We cannot build a capable state with people in acting positions and leadership uncertainty. Another ongoing focus for the committee is implementing lifestyle audits and promoting ethical conduct in the public service. As a committee, we are of the view that we cannot build a capable state without addressing the ethical conduct of public servants. Lifestyle audits, financial disclosures, the anti-corruption hotline, and the prohibition on public servants doing business with the state are all important tools, which is encouraging, but as a committee, we are interested in whether these tools actually detect, prevent, and help sanction corruption. From April to June this year, the committee's oversight work on lifestyle audits shifted to provincial departments. All provinces, except Limpopo, represented by their premiers, appeared before the committee to account for the implementation of lifestyle audits. The committee was encouraged by the progress made, and we are concerned that the implementation of these audits remain uneven across provinces. Some provinces, including Gauteng, the Western Cape, and the Northern Cape, as well as certain departments in KwaZulu-Natal, have adopted strong approaches, which include the services of the Special Investigating Unit, or the SIU. Others still rely heavily on ethics officers and internal processes, which often results in lifestyle reviews rather than comprehensive lifestyle audits. So for the committee, there is an important distinction between financial disclosures and lifestyle audits. Financial disclosures are more a preventative measure to manage conflicts of interest public servants may have. A lifestyle audit, however, involves a more serious forensic process triggered by signs of unexplained wealth or conduct that does not match an official's declared income. So we are concerned that many public officials submit annual disclosure forms, yet may still live beyond their declared means with unexplained wealth. Recent evidence before the Matlanga Commission has again highlighted this risk, and the committee is concerned that the current system is not strong enough to detect false, incomplete, or misleading declarations. This is why we have called for the strengthening of the financial disclosure system, which should include mandatory bank statement declarations, digitized verification systems, and collaborations with institutions such as SARS and eNatus. The public service cannot rely on the SIU after corruption has taken root. The system must detect warning signs earlier and allow ethics officers in the Public Service Commission and the Public Service Commission to determine whether an official is living beyond legitimate means. The third focus area for us is paid suspensions and disciplinary backlogs. The committee has expressed serious concern following media reports that more than 670 public servants are suspended on full pay, costing the state about 800 million rand a year. For us, this is a major governance and financial concern because it places pressure on an already stretched fiscus and it diverts money that should be available for service delivery. We therefore call for urgent action to reduce paid suspensions and clear disciplinary backlogs. It is important to emphasize, however, that this is not just about money paid to suspended employees who remain at home while continuing to receive their salaries. These prolonged suspensions point to serious weaknesses in the discipline management system. They point to poor record keeping and a failure to finalize disciplinary cases within a reasonable time frame. We acknowledge that all public servants must be protected from unfair disciplinary processes, but government must also ensure that misconduct is dealt with fairly, consistently, but without delay. The committee has therefore called for stronger disciplinary management, better digitized systems, and clearer accountability for accounting officers. We also note examples of disciplinary matters being dealt with more decisively, including in the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development and the Department of Home Affairs, where officials were dismissed for misconduct. These best practices must be studied and applied more broadly. In closing, for the Portfolio Committee on Public Service and Administration, professionalizing the public service cannot remain a policy slogan. It must be visible in who we appoint, how ethics and integrity are tested and promoted, how public money is protected, and whether there are sanctions for proven wrongdoing. That is the standard we expect and the result we demand. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair de Villiers, for that comprehensive presentation. Thank you very much. The last presentation comes from the Honorable Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on the Presidency, which is a relatively new committee in Parliament that we know its formation was preceded by a lengthy debate regarding its necessity and its importance. Honorable Chair, you're on the floor.
Thank you very much, our host, Honorable Mutapo. Good morning to, Mr. Mutapo. Good morning to my fellow chairpersons and also members of the media. So our briefing today will be in 3 parts. Firstly, to introduce the Committee on the Presidency to the people of South Africa. Secondly, to explain why why Parliament established the committee and the constitutional mandate it has been entrusted with. Thirdly, to provide an update on the work undertaken since the committee's establishment and to outline our priorities going forward. Parliament established the Committee on the Presidency because effective democratic governance requires effective oversight. Historically, oversight of the presidency was exercised through parliamentary questions, SONA, debates, budget processes, and other parliamentary mechanisms. While these mechanisms remain important, Parliament recognized the need for a dedicated committee capable of providing focused and continuous oversight over the strategic center of government. The committee therefore strengthened Parliament's oversight architecture and reinforces our constitutional responsibility to hold the executive accountable. It also reflects Parliament's response to lessons arising from the state capture era, which highlighted the importance of strong oversight institutions capable of safeguarding transparency, accountability, and good governance. The committee was not established in isolation. Before its establishment, Parliament undertook an extensive process of institutional reflection on how best to strengthen oversight over the presidency. As part of that process, a parliamentary delegation undertook a comparative benchmarking study to the Westminster in the UK to examine international models for parliamentary oversight of heads of government and executive coordination. The delegation also considered practices in other jurisdictions, including Canada, Australia, Kenya, Uganda, and Botswana. One important finding emerged. Very few democracies have established a dedicated parliamentary committee responsible exclusively for oversight of the presidency or its equivalent. Parliament therefore concluded that South Africa's constitutional and governance environment justified the creation of a context-specific oversight model. Following this work, the National Assembly approved amendments to its rules in December 2025, formally establishing the Committee on the Presidency. The committee derives its mandate from both the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa and the rules of the National Assembly. Section 55, subsection 2 of the Constitution requires the National Assembly to promote mechanisms to ensure that all organs of states in the national sphere of government are accountable to it and to maintain oversight over the executive, over the National Executive Authority. Section 57, subsection 1A, empowers the National Assembly to determine and control its internal arrangements, proceedings, and procedures, including the establishment of committees necessary to perform its constitutional functions. Section 92, subsection 2, provides that the members of the Cabinet are accountable collectively and individually to Parliament for the exercise of their powers and the performance of their functions. In giving effect to these constitutional provisions, the National Assembly Rules Committee, established in terms of Rule 193, recommended amendments to the National Assembly rules to establish the Committee on the Presidency. Those amendments were subsequently adopted by the National Assembly in December 2025, formally creating the committee as part of Parliament's oversight architecture. The committee exercises oversight over Budget Vote 1, the presidency. Its mandate includes oversight of governance, administration, strategic coordination, planning, expenditure, institutional performance, and the implementation of national priorities by the presidency. It is equally important to clarify that the committee is not an impeachment committee. It does not conduct criminal investigation, nor does it exercise judicial functions. Those matters are dealt with through separate constitutional and parliamentary mechanisms. Since its establishment, the committee has prioritized building a solid institutional foundation for effective oversight. Among its key milestones are elections of the chairperson on the 5th of May 2026, the inaugural strategic planning workshop held from the 7th to the 9th of April 2026, during which members adopted the committee's strategic vision, oversight philosophy, and institutional priorities. Comprehensive briefings by the Auditor General of South Africa and the Presidency, led by the Minister in the Presidency, Minister Ntshavheni, on the 8th of May 2026, covering governance, audit outcomes, expenditure, organizational capacity, and the Presidency's 26-27 annual performance plan. Adoption of the committee strategic plan, annual performance plan, budget vote report, and second term program on the 27th of May 2026, marking the transition from institutional establishment to effective oversight. These milestones have equipped the committee to commence its constitutional oversight responsibilities from the position of sound institutional understanding. The committee's work will focus on strategic, evidence-based, and outcomes-orientated oversight. Our priorities include monitoring implementation of the President's annual performance plan, overseeing governance and expenditure, assessing institutional performance, monitoring coordination of government priorities, and ensuring that oversight contributes to improved governance and better outcomes for South Africans. We will also follow up on the implementation of SONA priorities and commitments. In closing, the establishment of the Committee on the Presidency marks an important development in South Africa's parliamentary democracy. It strengthens Parliament's ability to oversee the strategic center of government and reinforces the constitutional principle that the executive authority must remain accountable to the people through Parliament. Ultimately, our success will not be measured by the number of meetings we convene or reports we adopt. It will be measured by whether our oversight contributes to better governance, stronger accountability, and improved outcomes in the lives of South Africans. The committee is committed to carry out this responsibility with integrity, professionalism, and transparency. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair Mbabane. Let me also thank Honorable Chair Mkhize and Honorable Chair de Villiers for all those presentations. I did also indicate that we are joined by the Honorable Chairperson of the SCOPA, who will make comments during the Q&A interaction where it is necessary to do so. So that is a bonus that we have thrown in to even make this session to be more informative, and that we don't leave any matter unattended. Thank you very much, Honorable Chairpersons. Ladies and gentlemen, those are the presentations. You have now an opportunity to ask questions. As we normally do, we would like to start with the members of the media. You've got various options of doing so. You can ask on this platform live, post your questions by way of showing your hand using the hand function, or you can throw in the question in the chat box, or those journalists who are on the Parliamentary Communication WhatsApp group, you can also deposit your question there, as some of the colleagues have done, and we will deal with those questions as well. Are there any hands? Perhaps maybe to kick off with the question from the WhatsApp group, Parliament WhatsApp group from Lindsay Dendlinger, and it is directed to Dr. Mkhize. And it says that some political parties are in disagreement with the National Treasury's actions against municipalities, saying it will have the unintended consequences of affecting service delivery. The question is, do you share this concern, and how will the committee conduct oversight to ensure this does not happen where municipalities fail to meet Treasury's requirements? Are there any questions? If I'm missing any hands, please let me know so that I can recognize those hands. This is an opportunity for members of the media to ask questions, but if there is no further question from the members of the media, I'm going to move on to the rest of the stakeholders. Okay, I see questions coming from Theolin Tembo. All right, can you, and then followed by Reaching Beyond the Impossible. I think that is the name of the organization. Okay, in that order.
Good morning, everybody. Theolin Temba from Independent Media. Just to start with my first question to Honorable Mkhize. Last year, during a similar governance cluster meeting, you highlighted that many other municipalities were called out for using consultants, as the CFOs would not be the ones to submit their financial reports. Just over the years since, what has your oversight shown, and do you think that some of the regression in the audit outcomes are as a result of the shortcomings to municipal managers and CFOs? And then to Honorable Mapapane, we know that the JSCI committee members have to take a an oath of secrecy just regarding the sensitive information that they come across. Given that the committee will be overlooking the presidency and that there is sensitive information that runs across there, is there perhaps a concern, or has the discussion come up that the committee might have to do something similar, just given the level of sensitive information while sort of conducting oversight over the presidency itself? Yeah, that's it from me.
Thank you very much. The next hand, Theodin, you can just lower your hand so that you can focus on those. Okay. There is a second hand reaching beyond the impossible. The floor is yours. We can't hear you. If we do not have any luck with you, I will move to Bongo Steto.
Oh, sorry, host. Morning. I thought you were the previous hand. The host was the one who's gonna speak, but can I get the opportunity to put some input? And I would like to good morning, everyone, to the host, chairpersons today for the opportunity to give us a briefing. My name is Moloko Dikhale, and I come from Reaching Beyond the Impossible. So my questions are to Dr. Zwelim Kize and Mr. Jan de Villiers. So first of all, I will start with Dr. Zwelim Kize. My question is, what is the timeline for the next round joint oversight visit? And what will be the expected outcomes? And the second question is, how does the committee plan to ensure that audit recommendations are implemented, not only just noted? And to Mr. Jan de Villiers, the first question is, which department have fully implemented the framework and which are lagging? The second question is, what support is being provided to provinces and smaller departments to adopt the framework? Also, how will professionalism be linked to performance management and disciplinary outcomes? Thank you, Mr. Molapo, for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. The next hand was the hand of Noni Sam. Are you still planning to ask the question? Or you have withdrawn the hand completely and the question? Okay, if Noni Sam, am I missing? Okay. Okay, Noni Sam actually is on the platform. The question is, sorry, it's in the chat section. It says, good day. I think the chairpersons. My name is Noni from Unity Bridge. My question is for Ms. Doris Mpabane. How the evidence-based oversight will practically track the 26-27 budget expenditure, or how do you plan to measure the improved governance for ordinary South Africans? Yes, so that is a question. And then I see the last question, the last hand that I'm seeing from Bishop Templeton. Begwa. You are on the floor, Bishop. Okay, seems like we can't hear you. You can switch off the camera. You don't have to have the camera on. Okay. It seems like we are not having luck with Bishop Templeton. Can we then return to the chairpersons in the order that they came? Dr. Zulum Kize?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mutapo, and thanks to the members for the questions. I think we need to understand the concerns of the various political parties from a perspective of feeling helpless. You would like to see communities not being affected. You wouldn't like to see workers not being affected. And so they raise that concern, and it's a genuine concern which we all share in the context of municipalities should not be having communities suffering as a result of difficulties in administration, services not being rendered, water not being available, roads not being fixed, sewage spilling all over. We all would like to see that situation. We also don't want to hear that there are any municipal workers who have not been employed. Now, the question that has arisen was, we have over the years observed lack of compliance from municipalities. Now, when we ask the municipalities to comply, we're not giving them an onerous, unreasonable burden of actions to take. We basically are saying Parliament has voted funds for you to render the services for the communities, and you have the rules within which you need to spend those funds and be guided by those rules. You cannot spend funds in any way that is not within the prescribed rules by Parliament, by the various legislations, and so on. So for you to receive the money, you must show evidence that the previous amount you used it properly, you use it according to the rules, then we can give you the next amount of money for you to continue to do the work. If you do not do that, you should then check who did wrong and why things were done wrong, and then take action so that those people who did the wrong do not continue to manage or mismanage funds of government and therefore affect service delivery. Now, the flaw in this whole discussion is that the municipalities have already done something wrong. They have not complied. They have had irregular expending. They have not spent money as expected. They have not shown evidence where the money has gone. And if that is the case, that's where the problem is. So we are all concerned about that. And what the Treasury is saying, if we further give you funds without you showing the proof, the Treasury is breaking the law. Now, what should Parliament say? We cannot say Treasury break the law because the municipalities have already broken the law. And we're saying municipalities, fix your mistakes and Treasury will give you the money. Treasury cannot refuse to give the money if the municipalities have complied. Now, if municipalities do not comply, there must be actions on those who cause the irregularities so that it is not illegal for Treasury to spend money where there have been transgressions. This is what we are trying to say. And so the unintended consequence, we cannot then say everybody must then break the law and be in compliance and have a lack of compliance as a way to save the community. Already the problem has been caused and we must focus on those who caused the problem. And I think that's where the focus must be. So the political parties are correct. We need to all go to those municipalities and say, please comply so that people do not get affected. If we don't say so, we're then forcing Treasury to release funds where there's evidence of irregularity. Now, where we sit as Parliament, we ask the question, if the municipalities are not compliant, what have you done? Because there are certain provisions in the Constitution, in the PFMA, in the MFMA, that authorize you to take certain actions. If you are not taking those actions, how do you expect that there should be compliance? That's what Treasury is now responding to. And Parliament cannot agree that when the Auditor General says everything is irregular, and then say there's no lack of compliance, and then we say, well, let's say we can't do anything about it. There has to be tightening of the regulations, and this is what the Treasury is doing. So let's advise the political parties, let's go to those municipalities and say to them, each one of them must comply. Then people will not suffer. Then the municipal staff will not suffer. Let's not say someone else must continue to break the rules down the chain because the first one has actually not complied. Let's focus on them. I agree with them. There might be unintended consequences, and our focus is to say those who are responsible must be told we don't want to see those unintended consequences. They must act properly. That would be the issue that came from the WhatsApp group. Then there is the question on the use of consultants. In this case, our point here about the consultants is that the reason why municipalities explain they use consultants is because they've got no capacity. So this has been properly analyzed. The reality is that what audit actions are needed are based on what normal administrative processes should be in a municipality. In other words, everything that is needed for auditing is what should be part of a financial management and control system of a municipality. It has to be part of the structure of the municipality. So if you then need consultants, that means you are running short of certain skills. And those skills should be made available through your own budget so that you have got your own internal system. So what the Auditor General analysis shows is that if you go to 2014 to 2015, there were 179 municipalities that use consultants, and that cost government 586 million. Now, it was understood at that time that it was a temporary measure because they did not have capacity in certain aspects. And on the basis of that, they had to then get external assistance to get their audit processes in place so that they can comply with the auditing cycle. So we expected that after that, they would then go and employ the relevant professionals and then use them as their own internal capacity so that audit processes only uses internal capacity. But when it came to 2024, 25, the number had increased. It moved from 179 municipalities using consultants to 225. Now, whereas it was 580 million rand in 2014, or to date in the 2024-25, it was 1.6 billion rand used. So when we try to check what was this all about, the consultants were used for preparation or review of financial statements, and that is almost 30% of all municipalities. Now, normally municipalities must have their own staff to do that. Then the other one was to deal with the issue of asset management. That covers 34% of municipalities. Normally, municipalities must have this capacity in their own municipality. Then that accounting services, about 5%. Now, normally, municipalities must have their own accounting services. They had tax services, 25%. That the municipalities must have their own services. So effectively, all the things that the municipalities are paying for, they should have their own internal systems that should be able to give them the capacity to do that. It's not only that as a concern, because even those so what ultimately was the concern was that when you look at them, there is no plan to replace the consultant and reduce them. None of the municipalities are showing such a plan. That means next year they'll be still doing the same thing. And others, they do not show any transfer of skills. That again means they should have been having skills transfer so that those consultants must, work themselves out of the system. They are not. Now, the issue, they should be, at least they should be doing some training. There's no training program. That is the concern that we are raising with the municipalities to say, do not just work on the basis that for auditing, you're going to rely on outsiders. It is not correct. You should rely on your own staff, because the information you need for auditing is not something that you only need when the Auditor General calls for documents. You need to check every time you spend 1 cent. You must have the financial control systems in place. You must have your reports in place for every cent that you spend. It should not be you wait until the end and then you get consultants. You cannot also have a separate section of consultants that deals with issues that are supposed to be part of your day-to-day financial management processes. This is what the issue is in relation to the consultants. Then the question of the oversight program, we will announce as we go along, because we assess the municipalities and look at priorities, and we keep changing priorities, which becomes or it gets announced as we move along because of the need to keep adjusting the program. So part of the oversight, joint oversight, is still going to involve working with some of the outstanding municipalities. For example, at Tegwini, there's still outstanding discussions with them, and the number of municipalities that we still have to go back to. So we went to the Free State sometime last year. We were able to review all of them together at the same time. So there'll be, the next one is going to be the Northwest. We need to be dealing with that. We've also just dealt with some of the municipalities from Gauteng, which is Ekurhuleni, City of Johannesburg, and so on. So we will announce them as we move along, but the next ones that are going to be coming will be from the Northwest, and then of course there'll also be some of the municipalities in the provinces which we still have not reached on the joint oversight program, but they'll only be announced as we go along. It's going to be part of how we do oversight moving forward.
Dr. Mkize, I think you may have muted yourself. I'm not sure if it's on my side only or this affects everyone.
He's muted, Mr. Mloto.
From that point of view, we do not just wait and see, but we always follow up on each of the spheres to implement what the AG has requested. Thank you very much. I think that's been adequate to cover the questions that have been raised. Thank you very much, Mr. Mtapo.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mkize. Ms. Honorable de Villiers.
Thank you very much for the question. The question was from the representative of reaching beyond the impossible. I must say the speaker did break up a little bit, but I think I got the gist of the question. It was related to what support departments and specifically smaller departments in government get for professionalization efforts. I think there's two parts, a two-part answer. The first is the Department of Public Service and Administration itself. So, government, whether you are looking at the national or provincial level or departments within one of those spheres, the actual recruitment processes are decentralized. So every department goes ahead and does their own recruitment and appoints officials into positions. But they are all guided by the guidelines and the regulations and the standards set by the Department of Public Service and Administration. So the departments appoint their own people, they recruit themselves, they go through the whole process, but they're guided in that process. So for a department to make sure that they are adhering to the new professionalization standards and that they are moving towards the goal of creating a professional merit-based state and apolitical public service, our duty as the committee is to follow those recruitment processes and look at things like lifestyle audits, disciplinary cases, how long disciplinary cases take, the qualification standards and whether qualification standards are being followed, how long public officials are acting in positions that should have been filled. So as a committee, we do oversight over that work, but the support is really given firstly by the Department of Public Service and Administration, who looks at all of these various departments and supplies them with the guidelines, with the rules basically of how they should be appointing and how they should be evaluating whether it is declarations or lifestyle audits. But then there's a second important body that can assist departments, and especially smaller departments, and that is the Public Service Commission itself. Because the Public Service Commission, you can almost view it as a sort of a watchdog over all of the staffing and appointment processes of the government. And the Public Service Commission doesn't only come in and try and find wrongdoing to almost, it doesn't just have a stick. It also can help and assist departments in identifying professionalization efforts, or even act as a whistleblower. It has a whistleblower function as well. So when you have public servants in departments who feel that standards are not being adhered to, or there's even corrupt activities, they can use the Public Service Commission, and they can go to the Public Service Commission to shine a light on those specific practices. So I think that is broadly how the system works around the different departments, and how the assistance is given to the professionalization efforts. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Honorable Mbabane.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mr. Muthapo. I had a question about sensitive information. I just want to say that in Parliament, we have many committees and they are doing their work in different ways. There is one specific committee that is dealing with sensitive information or intelligence-related information. That is the Joint Standing Committee on Intelligence. So this committee of ours, the presidency, it will do its work on an open platform. There is no secrecy around it. So everything that will be done, that is being done by this committee, is open to the public. So sensitive information will then be referred to that committee that is dealing with sensitive information. So with regard to the issues on how to ensure that there is evidence-based, I didn't see the question correctly. It went away, but I just want to say that as a committee, we are working closely with the Auditor General of South Africa, and also we are following up on the SONA commitments. We will also be doing our own oversight on those commitments. So we received from the presidency their annual performance plan, which they do have targets. So we will measure them by their outcomes. So that is what we will assist us. I think that those were the only two questions related to myself. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairpersons. The last round of questions, we received them from the WhatsApp group. The first one comes from Llewellyn Prince of Netwerk 24 to Dr. Mkhize and Mr. de Villiers. Do you believe the lack of consequence management is one of the main drivers for the non-compliance with legislation, which is often the primary cause of financial mismanagement in municipalities and in the national and provincial departments and public entities? How can Parliament ensure there is effective consequence management for wrongdoing? Does Parliament support the Auditor General exercising her powers by issuing certificates of debt to hold accounting officers or authorities in municipalities and departments personally liable for financial losses? That's the first question, constituted of about 3 questions. I hope Dr. Mkhize and Honorable de Villiers got that. The next one, also to Dr. Mkhize. During your visit to Msunduzi in January, you expressed concern about the city's deteriorating condition, including the levels of filth and proliferation of informal structures, and indicated that you wanted a comprehensive report on this and other issues to be tabled before Parliament. Did you receive that report? And if so, what were its key findings and recommendations, given that many residents believe conditions have not improved? What action has been taken in response to the report, if it was presented before your committee? The third question comes from Lindsay, EWN, to Mr. de Villiers. In light of the current public debate regarding politicians and MPs constantly being lobbied by third parties, will the committee be considering measures to safeguard the extent to which public servants and politicians alike are protected from undue influence? The other one comes from Theolin Tembo of Independent Media. Extra question for Honorable Zibi. Are you satisfied with how the appearance of the city of Johannesburg went before the committee and the measures that they said that they will implement to address the municipality's finances? That is to the SCOPA chairperson. Lindsay, again to Honorable de Villiers. In light of the current public debate regarding politicians, okay, I think this is a repeat. Yeah. So those are the questions. Because this is the last round, I will give Bishop Templeton, who we could not hear earlier, and Bongo Steto to ask their questions quickly so that the chairpersons can deal with all the questions as the last round, and then we close. In that order.
Thank you, Chairperson, Mr. Muthapo. My question is to the Chairperson of COCTA Portfolio Committee, Dr. Zwelin Mkhize. My question is about the submission that he spoke about before the 14th of August concerning traditional leaders. So does it mean, because Act 3 of 2019, Section 8 says, anything below the king and the queen, it is the prerogative of a premier to acknowledge such structure if there's any, for instance, if there's a traditional council. Does this submission also apply to the council that are not applying for kingship or queenship? My second request to him is that I'm being mandated by the churches to secure a quick meeting with Dr. Mkhize concerning the CRL and Section 22. I thank you, Chairperson. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Bishop. God bless you too. Bongo, Stato, questions?
Good morning, good day. I'm sorry, Chairperson, honorable members, and fellow stakeholders. My name is Ms. Bongos Teto, and I represent Kwakanya Children and Youth Community Development in Kabeja, in the Eastern Cape. So we work closely with vulnerable communities, and through our work with we witness the direct impact that governance and service delivery have on people's daily lives. So if the audit has confirmed poor performance, what concrete steps and timelines are in place to address the sewage crisis, the potholes, electricity outages, and water shortages affecting residents? And also, how will the Metro ensure that the findings of this audit lead to real improvements rather than becoming another report without implementation? I thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Teto. Those are the questions, Honorable Chairpersons. I think this time, this round, the questions were directed to Honorable Chair Mkhize, Honorable Chair De Villiers, and Honorable Chair Zibi. In that order, thank you very much. Honorable Chair, can you unmute? I can see the mouth is moving, but no sound.
No, sorry. I only realize now that I'm just talking to myself. I'm sorry about that.
Thank you.
I have missed some of the names of those who asked the questions. I've got just the gist of the question. So you'll excuse me for not referring to the origin of the question in terms of the name because I missed those. But the first question referred to whether we believe that the lack of consequence management is a major cause of the transgressions and whether in fact we believe the certificate of debt by the AG would assist in correcting the situation. Now, I want to say that yes, indeed, the lack of consequence management is the major reason why we have got a culture of impunity. And from that point of view, the portfolio committee focuses directly on that. When we meet, we always go back to look at the record of unauthorized, fruitless, wasteful expenditure and ask the question, have they been investigated? And if there have been, what action was taken internally in terms of disciplinary processes, in terms of referral to the criminal justice system? And if there has been such, well, then we need to know, tabulate those who are found to be responsible at this level. This is what has been done to them. There has to be internal disciplinary mechanism where there would be sanctions meted to those who are responsible. And then if not, we want to know what has been done to the one who neglected acting on those who had transgressed. Then the hierarchy of accountability moves up the ladder to the point where the mayor must now answer, what about you? What have you done? Now that you didn't do what you should have done, what should be done to you? And therefore the issue moves up to the speaker and say, Speaker, here are the issues. What has been done? When we see that they have not acted, we now call on, that's why it is a joint interspherical and multidisciplinary team. Because then we move up to say to the MEC of COCTA or MEC of Finance in the province. What about you? Where were you when things went wrong? What have you done? Have you corrected it? If you have not acted, now we also need the Premier to be present. And we ask the question to the Premier, Premier, your MEC has allowed things to go wrong in a municipality. Now the MEC is not the one that did things wrong, but the MEC is the one who has not acted when things went wrong in the municipality. This is why we're saying, therefore, it's a tightening up on the collaborative oversight approach. It allows everyone to be there so that there is no one who is responsible who will escape accountability. So we do agree that the issue of consequence management has to be acted upon, and in this case we focus specifically on that. Until we get action to be taken, we do not leave the issue. And if there has not been action, we then give them timelines. Go and act on the matter and come back and tell us what have you done on this matter. This is how the oversight approach has been structured, so that we are all in one room and there is no way anybody can escape responding to the issues or acting on the issues. And the Auditor General has been given additional authority to issue a certificate of debt, but it is a step that follows a number of things before you can actually issue such. And so what we are then saying is that we shouldn't be forcing the AG to issue a certificate of debt when there is a lot of other things that other people should have done and they didn't do. We need to push all of them to do what they have to do. And then when we realize that they have been given proper warning and they have actually not acted despite being alerted to the fact that things are wrong, then of course the Auditor General must deal with that. But it may be possible that in the process of this engagement, the mayor or the mayoral committee or the exco or the council can take a decision to act on the municipal manager on the basis of which things have gone wrong, in which case there's no more a need for the AG to be the one that gets involved, because the AG's issuing of certificate of debt is a default mechanism. That is when everything else has failed. But when the others have to take responsibility, they must use that space. And so that is how we're approaching this matter. Then the other issue relates to the visit to Msunduzi. Indeed, we did visit Msunduzi. It was the second visit since 2024. We are still very unhappy with a number of issues there in Msunduzi. This is mainly around service delivery issues. The issue of the filth and the litter in the municipality is a major concern. We raised it in the first visit, we raised it in the subsequent visit. We have actually raised it in so many times that we actually don't believe that there is a reason why the situation has not improved. And so we still have to hold the mayor, the council responsible for the deteriorating conditions of the municipality. At that time, the issue was raised relating to the invasion of parking lots with informal settlements, the issues of unmanaged invasion and informal settlements that are uninhabitable in conditions and all of this. We have raised these particular issues, and in the process of raising these issues, we have asked for the municipalities to explain this. And in some of the instances, when they raise this, they indicate that there are certain things that they are doing. And in the process, then we have said to them that they must come back and answer. So having had 2 visits, we've actually asked for a report. We're not happy with the report, so we invited them to come to the portfolio committee meeting, and the Honorable Songezo Zibi, as the chair of the SCOPA, had actually also invited them to a joint session. So we actually met with them there, and when we were done with them, we'd actually asked for additional reports. We're now considering some of these reports because we believe that a lot still needs to be done in the area of Pietermaritzburg from the point of view of managing the finances in the city. There's a huge matter of concern to the issue of the vacancies and the skills level in the municipality. All of these issues were raised with them, and in addition, the issues of water supply. Now, water in this municipality is a major issue. I live in this municipality, and I can tell you there are many challenges that relate to water in various villages and suburbs that have to be addressed. And so there remains a lot to be done by this municipality, and we have not stopped focusing on it, and we're waiting for more information and more reports from them. There were issues around the illegal immigrants, the issues of how these have been allowed to proliferate within the municipality. All of these issues are ongoing, and I cannot say at this point we have completely dealt with all these issues. We will have to continue with them, and from where we sit, as long as we are not satisfied, the issues of accountability shall always remain on the table. The next question was asked to the Honorable Songezo Zibi. I will not go into details, but because they were asking about the city of Johannesburg and whether we're satisfied with their appearance, I was present as well, and we're dealing with this municipality. There's a lot of issues that we've asked them to further clarify. Moving from the financial management issues to the point where there were even, challenges coming from the lending bodies to them that they were not happy. The huge debts, the issues of service delivery, particularly high water losses, debts to municipality, debts to ESCOM, and a number of these issues. There's a lot of work still to be done in relation to the city of Johannesburg, but the question was asked to my colleague, the Honorable Zibi, so I will not go further on that. The Bishop, thank you very much again for your questions. Your question is referring to issues of recognition of communities as traditional communities at any level below kingship and queenship being referable to the Premier. It is true, that's how the Act stands. That means that a community or a traditional community or a traditional leadership have to raise the issues with the Premier of a province. Now, I think I understand where the origin of this challenge is coming, and that is where you have a Premier that would then refer the matter back to national government to say, if the national government recognizes your community, we'll recognize you, and then it gives you a kind of chicken and egg situation. We have in the past followed this matter up. Whilst at this moment I don't know where the matter stands, it would be something that one would need to check again in relation to how this would then would have been dealt with. But I think it relates to the fact that over the past, you had communities that had never been recognized as traditional communities at this level. I think there's still space to raise that issue. In relation to the COI and the sign community, the entire spectrum of the recognition is going to be invoked, but that gets processed through the COI and the SAN Council. There's a COI and the SAN Matters Council that will then do the investigation and analysis, and those issues will be resolved there. But I would then want us to pick up this one where it relates to a matter that was tabled and was referred to the national minister. If it has not been resolved, then it would have to pick it up again. The issue of the CRL commission as well as the Section 22 committee, there will be a meeting. We are planning for a meeting. I can just say, just as a matter of interest, that since the meeting we had with the religious leaders discussing your complaints about the Section 22 process, committee process, we then subsequently had several meetings, one with the CRL Commission to ask them to give us further details of what has been done at this point. And based on that, we then held another meeting with the religious leaders, and I think you attended that one as well. So we are then doing internal consultations. The first consultation has been held with the Speaker and the Chairperson of the CRL Commission. We will then be having a meeting with the Commission in preparation for a meeting with religious leaders right across the spectrum, so that we can see whether we are able to take the matter forward as generally agreed by the religious leaders in relation to the development of the Code of Ethical Conduct by the religious leaders for the religious sector, and therefore also guided by the religious leaders, and that should be tabled ultimately to the CRL Commission. Now, the issue of legislation will not come into this. All we will be doing is just the Code of Ethical Conduct. So we will then be sending an open invitation for that matter to be discussed. Let me hold it at that for now, at that kind of level. The last one relates to the member Steto, Bongo Steto. We do understand and sympathize with the community of Gqeberha, particularly in relation to the vulnerable communities and the poor performance in terms of provision of water, correction of the water, of the sewage spillages, and the deterioration of the roads. Now, with all the potholes on the streets and and so on. Now, we have asked the municipality to come in and answer on these particular issues and a lot more other governance issues that we were concerned about. We've actually had 3 sessions with the Metro Council of Gqeberha to go through these issues. We do understand that some of these issues require a lot of focused attention. And what we found was one of the challenges had to do with the lack of the large number of vacancies that had to be filled, wherein proper authoritative decisions had to be taken by people in positions were being hampered by the fact that there were lots of acting people in the various managerial positions. So we have focused in saying they need to give us concrete timelines. There were some timelines given in this regard. We had to bring in the MEC at the provincial level to deal with the management issues where even the municipal management had a problem getting someone to act at that level. So that area, that issue needed to be corrected first, so that all these service delivery issues can be attended to. The number of issues that we lifted up and we felt that they could not be concluded. So we have actually referred them to the National Minister of Treasury as well as Minister of Culture to do the investigation so that they can then be corrected. So we do understand that there are challenges here, but as Parliament, we are also directly involved in overseeing that these they get ultimately implemented, and that the province as well, provincial government, is focusing on giving attention to service delivery issues in this particular municipality of the Nelson Mandela Metropolitan Municipality. So we will continue to monitor that and ultimately see that the governance issues are corrected and that service delivery issues are also streamlined appropriately. Thank you very much. If I can just leave it at that. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you very much, Dr. Mkhize. Understandably, there were quite a lot of questions and you dealt with them quite thoroughly. Honorable De Villiers.
Yes, thank you very much. So the first question was from Llewellyn from Netwerk 24. I think I'll answer it in English just for the sake of all the other attendees, although Netwerk 24 is an Afrikaans paper. And it was around consequence management. So, I mean, yes, in short, there is a big documented problem with consequent management, with everything from the revolving door policy, where if public servants are being investigated, that they just transfer to other departments, to the documented cases of disciplinaries taking months, even years, and not coming to an end. And obviously the well-documented cases of full-on corruption and state capture, as we've seen it in previous years. Consequence management really is at the heart of why the Government of National Unity has prioritized the professionalization of the state, and why the professionalization of the state is so important. Because in simple terms, the more you politically appoint your public servants, the more politically connected public servants are and are not independent and appointed on merit and are apolitical professionals, the more they look after each other. You know, the more you have a organizational culture in government, where politically connected individuals are protected rather than prosecuted or face disciplinary charges when they commit any wrongdoing. In direct opposition to that, if you are pursuing, like the Government of National Unity is, a professional state, that means you are employing public servants based on merit, based on their experience, and based on the fact that they are indeed politically not connected to whoever might be the political party of the day, then you certainly and most definitely will have better consequence management, because now your public servants are there because they want to deliver the service which they were employed to do, because they are professionals. They are not there as servants of a political party. But in terms of that, another very important part of consequent management is actually the oversight role Parliament plays itself. You know, if we want to catch and convict public officials who are guilty of corruption, it takes all of the different committees in Parliament, the members of the Police Committee, the members of the Justice Committee, the members of the Public Service Committee, COCTA, you can name all of the committees, needs to really drive shining the light on practices within their different departments and doing their oversight duties. And that really is a role which Parliament needs to take very seriously, and that is a big part of consequence management, is Parliament's ability to call people in front of committees. So if my committee is Public Service and Administration, the ability to ask for audits, look at ghost worker numbers, ask for the time disciplinary cases take to be finalized, so that when we shine the light on that, there can be consequences for it. But then lastly, Llewellyn, it would be, I can't not mention this. There's a very important consequent management tool in the hands of voters, and those are elections. At the end of the day, if you are not happy with the government of the day, whether it is national or, as on the 4th of November when we have local elections, with your local municipality, that is your duty as a citizen to get registered to vote and to go vote, because that is consequent management. You have the ability to change whoever is running your local municipality on the 4th of November. So there's also a responsibility on citizens to do consequence management of their municipalities and other spheres of government in other elections. Lindsay, your question on lobbying. So obviously lobbying being the practice of business trying to meet with either politicians or public servants with a certain agenda is in itself, as you probably know, not unlawful. It is something which is part of politics. Government officials and politicians regularly meet with representatives from different industries and different businesses in the course of having to decide what is the right policies, regulations, laws that needs to be changed to create a better South Africa. So that happens. I think the question is always, was anything unlawful done or not, and whose responsibility is to look into that. In my case, the Committee of Public Service and Administration, we do not do oversight over politicians. We do oversight over the public service. And your question was related to, what would my committee do? So in terms of public servants, the most essential question to ask when it comes to private business and private business interest is, do we have public servants who are doing business with the state? Do we have state official, government officials who are doing business with the state in any form via private companies or the like, or just in fact taking bribes to influence corruption or tender supply decisions? So there's obviously a lot of different committees like the AGSA, who and COCTA, who also come in on this and look at it. But from our side, it's really important that we establish and we ask the question, if they go into if audits are done on lifestyles, how many government officials are living beyond their means? How many government officials might have been unduly influenced by business people to achieve certain outcomes? So lobbying, when it is done just as meetings and just trying to put an opinion on the table, nothing unlawful about that and nothing to investigate there. But when money is involved, and where specifically in my committee's a case when public servants receive any form of financial contribution or are materially enriched to influence government processes, well, that's corruption, basically. And we have a very big duty. It also actually connects to the consequence management question. We have a very big duty in Parliament to ask all of the different questions, everything surrounding ghost workers, lifestyle audits, disciplinary cases, qualifications in the state. We as the Parliamentary Committee need to constantly shine the light on those practices and ask what is being done about it. I would just like to say lastly that I'm very encouraged by the fact that the Public Service Commission Amendment Act has gone through both Parliament and through the National Council of Provinces, because the strengthened powers and the strengthened independence of the Public Service Commission should have a major impact on the ability of the state to have this independent watchdog that can look into all different forms of corruption and staffing and personnel issues inside the state as well. And I think those were the questions I received. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable de Villiers. The last response from Honorable Zibi.
Thank you very much, Mr. Matapo. So the work that we're doing with the City of Johannesburg is work that we're doing jointly with the Portfolio Committee on Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs. I'd just like to say a couple of things. The first is that for us, this is ongoing work. With all of the municipalities that we have seen so far and that we are still going to see, and there's not all of them, we are going to be on a journey until the end of the 7th Parliament to make sure that we continue to work with the Auditor General. We work with other departments, the Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs. We work with the National Treasury, and we work with the Auditor General in order to get to a point where the outcomes that South Africans can see in the level of service delivery that they get. So that is the first thing. With the City of Johannesburg specifically, I would mention maybe three things that I think the two committees observed. The first is that the quality and stringency of the political oversight and guidance from the MMCs, and I think the councils doing their work of overseeing a vast number of agencies in the City of Johannesburg. I think there's between 12 and 13, as well as the core administration itself. It needs tightening up because a lot of the entities have various levels of financial and other difficulties that I will get into in my second and third point. But the most important thing is that the MMCs, the mayor, as well as the committees within the council, in particular the Municipal Public Accounts Committee, need to put in a lot more effort into providing that level of oversight, because when that is effective, there might not even be a need for any of the municipalities, including the City of Johannesburg, to appear before Parliament at all, because the work is happening at that level. So that is the first observation. The second observation is that, which we raised with the City of Johannesburg, is that the city is unnecessarily complex. There is no city, I think it was my mutual agreement, my mutual observation in the hearing with the City of Johannesburg, that there is no other city on planet Earth that has got 13 entities underneath it. All of those 13 entities have got their own governance structures. Typically, they have a board, they have management, the Auditor General is to assess them separately. They've got funding requirements. Some of them have got debts from the capital markets, from banks and so on. That level of complexity makes it extremely difficult for the level of political oversight I was talking about, effective political oversight and executive oversight. That needs to happen for the City of Johannesburg to get the right financial outcomes that you're looking for. So that's the second thing. The third observation has to do with what I would call contract and project management. The Auditor General certainly raised a lot of issues with regarding to the management of contracts, suppliers going unpaid, technical drawings and the like being unavailable, and yet the contractors are doing the work and they continue to get paid. And then you have a cascade of those issues going into some of the agencies, such as City Power and Pick It Up and so on, some of whom have got cash flow problems. So to answer your question is, are we happy with what yet? Of course, we are not happy, but what we are determined to do is to not have a once-off interaction with the City of Johannesburg or any of the metros that we are dealing with. We are going to be interacting with them on an ongoing basis together with the other institutions that I've mentioned in order to make sure that eventually the residents of the City of Johannesburg get the level of service that they deserve. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Zibi. Ladies and gentlemen, concludes today's session of Governance Cluster Media and Stakeholder Engagement. I would like to thank the honorable chairpersons. As you will see that we normally have these briefings physically, but because they are spread the length and breadth of South Africa, engaging with their constituencies on a wide range of issues relating to service delivery, oversight, we had to go for the option of a virtual engagement so that we don't take them away from this very important program of Parliament. So I really wish to sincerely thank them, Honorable Chairpersons, for taking some time from your busy schedules in your constituencies to also observe your function, your responsibilities of public accountability, to account to the public and to the media on those important matters developing from your respective committees. So we don't take that lightly. We are very thankful for making time for this engagement. Thank you very much, Honorable Mkhize, Honorable De Villiers. Thank you very much, Honorable Mbabane. And thank you very much, Honorable Zibi, for being present here. But also, thank you very much to the members of the media. Thank you very much to the stakeholders for joining in. We really appreciate this interface, this engagement. I wish then to close this media briefing on that note. Thank you very much. The briefing is closed.
Thank you very much.